Next question. In 2008, NextBigSound was a site where voters voted on new unsigned bands. How much has that changed since starting? What did that process look like? So we, and you can tell from my advice and answers to these questions so far that, everyone's advice comes from their own, I don't know a nicer way to say this, haunted by their own demons, where if you have a problem with one thing, that's the advice you're giving, is to stay away from that one thing. So keep that in mind with everything that I'm saying here today. So for us, the process of changing an idea, we had thought that once we launched this site in August of 2008, that the whole world would come running, that we'd be for sure on the cover of TechCrunch or Billboard or whatever, and we'd change and revolutionize the music industry. So that's what we thought was going to happen. And when we did launch, it was basically crickets. There was no TechCrunch coverage. There was no this. There was no that. And it was kind of a very disheartening, couple of days, because, we had thought that, and remember that wall story, that just summiting that wall would be, the last final summit to the mountaintop. But turns out that that was just the beginning of things. So for a year, we tried everything that we could think of to increase the number of active users and the number of signups and the usage. So we had a feature list to the floor. We were working around the clock trying to do that, and nothing we did seem to move the needle at all. And so after a year of that, we were sick of waking up and trying to move the needle on something that we didn't know how to overcome and achieve. And that's when we said, hey, internally, hey, that idea that we have, we don't want to do that anymore. It's not working. And there's no way conceivably we can make money. And we actually knew what hitting zero on the bank account looked like, because we all had to put in $70 one month in order to pay the Amazon hosting bill. So, we didn't drag that decision out. We said on the first day of TechStars, that idea we applied with, we're not doing that anymore. They said, that's fine. We invested in you. What are you going to switch to? And we said, we have no idea. And we had plenty of ideas. We had 13 or 14 ideas. But none that were obvious winners. So we spent that first month basically frantically trying to figure out what we were working on, and what we should be working on, and what we should build the business around. So again, as I said in the first intro piece, Jolie Odell wrote a piece called Changing Horses Midstream, the story of NextBigSound, and that was our idea, switching, which was terrifying in the middle of that process of TechStars, but ultimately paid off in spades. So advice around switching is, if it's not working what you're doing, then stop and agree wholeheartedly to stop and switch directions, as opposed to trying to do 2 things at once or 5 things at once. And it's scary, and the word pivot kind of makes it sound like ballet and light and fluffy. It's absolutely terrifying, because all of these promises and all these conversations that you've had over the last however long you've been working on this idea are now, in jeopardy, and failure is right around the corner. And, we were the youngest in that cohort at TechStars, so it was like, who let these guys in? They'd just taken a big risk on us. So it was very stressful. And that was what that process looked like, kind of not a slow move, but on the first day, and then systematically trying 10 or 12 ideas and ultimately hitting on one that turned into a very exciting business.